Dollar. Dirt on money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew? Oh, I probably killed somebody's ears, bro. Welcome back to the channel, man. We got a requested reaction, man. You remember the person name?
Yes, from Sunny D94.
You really remember? She
wrote
wrote
it
down.
Sunny D94.
Bro, I stumbled over your comment the other day. I meant to write it down, the request and everything. Then right before this, we spent like 30 minutes looking for
Trying to look for it, and then I was like,
Bro, I don't know how YouTube comments, like, it's crazy. The comments. That's the reason why some of y'all comments, unfortunately, we might not respond back to, or might not be able to see it. YouTube,
everything doesn't show. I don't know.
It'll show one day, the next day,
the next day it's like
it's gone. It's
I'm like,
disappeared.
I know I've seen something.
Yeah, so if we don't see it right away,
sorry.
sometimes it get bundled up and we don't know where it goes. There's a lot of filtering we got to do. But this barn is filled with nightmare fuel. It's an old Ballen. It's a throwback. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. But before we do, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go, man. You want to first support? All you have to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
like it on a thumbs up.
you already know we on the road to 200K. We need to get there very, very soon. Man, hey, hopefully we can get there before the end of the month.
Yeah.
If y'all can get there, man, y'all just want, hey, let's all have a goal to get Kid and C reacts to 200K by the end of July. And that would be absolutely amazing, bro. Y'all won't even understand, man. But if this ain't a good one, hey, don't blame us, blame Sean.
Sonny.
Sonny. Why I say Sean? I meant blame Sonny.
Sonny D.
Blame him.
94.
If it's not good, blame him. But if it's good,
hopefully
congratulate him. Let's give him a round of applause, man, for recommending those.
Regardless.
Yeah. But let's go, man. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go, y'all.
No matter whether you believe this tragedy is the result of something paranormal or something normal and rational and explainable, no matter which way you feel, or maybe somewhere in the middle, the details of the story itself, the actual facts of the story, are horrifying. What actually happened to this poor family in the 1920s is just one of the more terrifying ordeals that I've ever come across, and it's crazy to me that it's a true story. Without giving too much away, someone or something shows up on this farm and it doesn't leave. One of the maids starts hearing strange sounds. They start looking for this person or this thing. They start seeing things moving around in their house, and there's every indication that someone is in the farm. Someone has snuck into the farm and is terrorizing us. And then on March 31st, 1922, whatever it was, finally attacks. This is the story of the Hinterkaifeck murders. Before we get into
The what?
Hinterkaifeck? Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. What day was it?
March 31st, 1922.
All right. But I'm like, because I was like, let me see. Let me check the description. Do we got their names? All right. The
Hinterkaifeck.
The Hinter Kai Feck FECK murders. Okay.
attacks. This is the story of the Hinterkaifeck murders. Before we get into today's story, if you're a fan of the dark, strange, and mysterious delivered in story format, well then my channel is the one for you. That is literally all I do on this channel, and I upload 3 to 4 times every week. So if that is of interest to you, I would ask you to gently 360 no-scope the like button, subscribe, and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right,
Ballen,
let's
crazy,
dive in.
man.
Back in the 1920s, there was a farmstead called Hinterkaifeck Farm that was located in southern Germany in a very rural, isolated, heavily forested area. So the occupants of the farm were the live-in maid and the Gruber family. The Gruber family was Andreas, his wife Azelia, their daughter Victoria.
All we know about this story.
Huh? Do we?
Yes. We actually know about this story. Yeah. Maybe it'll ring a bell to you. Bro, we've been doing YouTube since what, 20... When I start? I think I started, what, 2018? 2019 with us? Or was it 2019?
End of 2018, beginning of 2019.
I can't remember. 2018, 2019 is when I started by myself and then Brown C. And we done did so much content. You what?
Nothing. Go ahead.
No, I asked you to join me on the reaction, and everybody liked it, and that's how everything. You said what?
I said go ahead.
No, speak up. Speak up for the people since they said I don't allow you to talk.
I said they like me.
That's what I said.
No, you said us.
No, they like us
they
together.
They like me. But anyway, hey, stop! I know you were trying to knock my headphones.
But yeah, we've heard this story before.
Yeah, and Victoria's 2 children, Yosef and Azalea, as well. And everything was going fine for the Gruber family and for their farm until the winter of 1921, when some very strange things started happening on their property. The first one to notice strange things happening around their property was their live-in maid. She spent the majority of her time in the main house, and she was alone a lot of the time. And she started to notice when she was alone that she would hear tapping, what sounded like in the walls. Not someone in another room tapping, but literally something in the walls. And she would go up and she would listen, and it would still be tapping, but she couldn't make sense of it. And then she started hearing a combination of disembodied voices and footsteps in the attic. And when she started hearing those footsteps and voices coming from the attic, she ran and told Andreas to say, hey, someone's in your attic. Andreas would go up. Even though he was skeptical, he'd go up to the attic and he would look, and not only is no one there, but it was this total...
I'm sorry, y'all. She been bothering me lately, y'all. I'm sorry.
I do. I be laying in the bed and I be like, is those footsteps up above? And
honestly,
like,
our attic is not even that big, so if somebody is up there.
But some up there, I be hearing them walking and I be hearing voices. I'm telling you. I don't be scared though. I ain't scared, but hey, just don't bother me. You some up there, just keep it cordial. Keep it cute, sis.
He ran and told Andreas to say, hey, someone's in your attic. Andreas would go up. Even though he was skeptical, he'd go up to the attic and he would look, and not only is no one there, but it was this totally open space up there. There wasn't really anywhere to hide. There was no one up there, and there was no sign of anybody having been up there. There was no food. There was nothing. And so over the course of several weeks, the live-in maid kept saying that at night she'd be laying in bed and she would hear footsteps and voices from the attic. She'd hear tapping in the walls. She would tell Andreas, and then Andreas, she'd be frustrated with her because he didn't really believe her, and he'd go charging up into the attic and nothing would be there. And so she was just not having it. She'd been working with this family for a long time. She did not feel convinced that no one was there. She really thought this place was haunted. And so she ultimately tells the Gruber family, like, I'm sorry, but I can't stay here another night. Whenever I'm here, I feel like I'm being watched. And at night, I can't sleep because of the footsteps in the attic and these voices. I know you've checked, but I can't be here anymore. And so she quits. And it really catches the Gruber family by surprise because they rely on her help. And so they're kind of thrown for a loop because they have to replace her. And so she leaves, and now they need to go find a replacement. Over the following 6 months, they would not find a replacement, and it would create an increased workload for basically everybody on the farm, which led to a higher stress level. Everybody's kind of on edge. You know, the departure of the live-in maid was a really big deal. And so you got to put that in perspective as you hear what happens over the next 6 months. At first, after the live-in maid had left, no one reported hearing any strange sounds around the house. You know, they were so busy that they didn't even have time to consider if there was any sounds in the house that they didn't recognize. But eventually, Andreas would later admit that he started hearing the tapping sounds and the footsteps in the attic and the disembodied voices, and no one's there. And so now he's becoming paranoid, and he shared his paranoia with the rest of the family, who's now also hearing these sounds and these disembodied voices and the footsteps, and despite checking and now searching the whole property. Like, they've begun to actually do a full-blown investigation. Everyone's just stressed. They don't know what it's coming from. They're mad at each other for like becoming paranoid. And so they just continue on with work and try to put it out of their mind that they're hearing these strange sounds. But the activity in the house would only intensify. What was initially just strange tapping sounds and what they thought were disembodied voices turned into things going missing around the house. Most notably, a set of their house keys went missing. And there's only so many people there. There's really not a good answer as to why they might go missing. And they only have a couple sets. It's a big deal to lose a set of keys, and they went missing and they couldn't find them. Once the keys went missing, the family couldn't stop thinking about the strange sounds in their house and wondering if there really was someone hiding in their house. And it was terrifying. And then when young Azalea, one of the grandchildren, suddenly went missing one night, the whole family is in full panic. They go out looking everywhere for her. They're yelling in the forest. They can't find her. And then finally they find her, and she has no idea how she got out, where she went, and what even happened. She just was like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know how I got out. She was exhausted. She was confused. They brought her back to the house, and they're trying to get her to explain why you were doing that. She can't. They go back inside, and sitting on the table is a newspaper that Andreas didn't subscribe to. No one in the family had brought. No one even in the area, it would turn out, subscribed to this particular kind of obscure newspaper. And it's just sitting in their house. A couple days after that, they noticed that someone had clearly tried to break into their tool shed, which had loads of tools in there, very expensive. There was a lock on the outside, and there was very deep gashes into the metal. It looked like someone had been, hacking away at the lock to try to break it open. But they're living in a very isolated part of Germany where there isn't much ambient sound, and so it was strange to them that someone had been so violent with this lock, like hacking at this metal lock, presumably with something metal, and no one had heard it or reacted to it. None of the dogs had heard it, nothing. So just very confusing stuff is starting to happen around the property. But it would be what Andreas sees in the spring of 1922 that pushes he and his family over the edge from general paranoia to outright panic. So Andreas wakes up in early March of 1922. There was this huge snowstorm the night before. He gets up early and he goes to the back door of his house and he opens it up, and he can clearly see that there are footprints that have walked from the forest, which is pretty far away from his property. They have quite a bit of acreage. There's footsteps that are clearly coming out of the forest all the way up to the door that he has now just opened. And he's looking down at these footprints, and there's no return set of tracks. And so he's thinking to himself, well, whoever walked up to my house came into the house. So
But it's the thing is, what type of footprints? Were they animal tracks? Were they creature tracks? Or were they
he just said whoever.
foot?
He said whoever.
Well, yeah, I
they
guess
came in.
you gotta.
Ain't no animal, you know what I'm saying?
I'm just stating that it's a possibility of.
The animal ain't coming in and putting
You
the
would've seen- you
down
would've
and
seen-
stealing the keys and trying to hack the come on now. It's a person.
Oh,
It's
so today we're gonna roll with it. That it's a person.
It's a person. It's something, some type of entity, but it's not an animal.
Or a creature.
No creature.
I'm saying, because
Creature ain't going to buy no newspaper.
or aliens.
Come on now.
Aliens ain't got no access to them.
Oh God.
And so he's thinking to himself, well, whoever walked up to my house came into the house. So he shuts the door and locks it and immediately goes and wakes up his family and says, hey, why are there footprints leading up to the back door? Because there's no footprints going away. Someone came to the back door and apparently came inside. His wife, his daughter, the grandkids, no one has a clue. The maid, nobody knows. They say, hey, we've been asleep. We have no idea. So now Andreas, he's obviously thinking about the strangeness that's happened in his house over the past couple of months. And so he's worried. So he opens the door back up and he looks and he's studying these footprints and he's like, I just don't get it. You have to turn around and walk back. Otherwise, you're here. You're at the house. He shuts the door and he walks around his house. He looks at all of the different exits to his house. So he looks to see if there's exiting footprints, which it's scaring him thinking about it, which means someone would have come into the house and jumped out a window or gone out another door, but he's just checking. And as soon as he makes sure there's no other footprints, he does a scan of his entire house. Because now he's convinced that someone's in his house. He goes to the attic. He goes all around. He's yelling. He's looking everywhere. There's nothing. There's no one in the house. The family's concerned, but there's no one in the house. So he keeps everything locked and he goes outside and he starts tracking these footprints back to where they came from. And he walks all the way to the forest and they just kind of stop abruptly. Like they just started kind of magically at the edge of the tree line and walked right up to his house, but there's no clear origination besides it's just in the forest somewhere. And there's also no clear sense of what happened once they arrived at the door. So after doing one more loop around his property, he goes in the barn, he goes in the shed, he goes back in his house, he's checking the attic, he's looking everywhere, and he can't find any indication that some stranger is here. He finally decides that he's going to tell someone about what's been happening at his property. And so they did have a neighbor, Lorenz Schlittenbauer, who was his closest neighbor, who was not really that close, but a couple hundred yards away. And he goes over and he tells Lorenz everything. I've been hearing sounds. My maid quit because she was hearing sounds. We looked in the attic. We couldn't find anything. Then we started hearing sounds. The keys go missing. There's this newspaper in my house. My granddaughter's running out in the middle of the night. She's disappearing. She doesn't know what's going on. These footprints. I can't make sense of it. And so Lorenz, also not knowing what to make of it, suggests like, hey, I have extra weapons. You want to take an extra rifle and arm yourself, protect yourself? And Andreas just says, you know what? No, I'm good. I'm going to pass on the rifle. I'm probably overreacting anyways, and I'm sure we're just fine.
Think it's some type of spirit. But do spirits leave footprints? I thought they glide. You know what I'm saying? No, let's stop.
I thought they just float.
We all float. If you know, you know. But some kind of spirit, paranormal.
I mean, I don't have too many details right now, but
see, we over halfway done.
But just
you ain't got no conclusion.
Just from the sounds of it, it's giving me spirit. It's giving me spirit. Or spirits.
And that motherfucker got some big feet. He want to stomp. You gonna see the E print.
Cause where he go? Or she, or whatever it is.
How you get inside the home? Ain't nobody heard nothing.
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't. That's why I'm like, why are you leaving footprints if you could just glide straight through the door?
Stop saying that.
You ain't have to turn the lock or nothing. But you want to leave footprints.
It's a mental thing.
Now that's a motherfucker want to fuck with your ass. Yeah, I'm gonna take your keys.
You believe in spirits?
I don't know what I believe in these days.
Okay.
But no, I'm saying he want to play with you. He trying to take your keys.
No, he took them keys. He didn't try. He took them keys.
Take your key.
He tried to break into the shed.
Leave a newspaper laying around. Wait, hold on. How you trying to break into the shed? Why you just can't glide through the door like you did the house?
You don't know that. You don't know. He got the keys, remember? I'm serious. I'm being serious.
He took the little child. How the hell she get out?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody heard or seen her. She don't even know how she got out there.
Don't even know.
Or does she sleepwalk? Cause then we can debunk some. If we wanted to debunk, we can start debunking.
You can tell some big, like a grown.
Girl, this ain't no.
I know these are the footprints, but I'm just saying, because I was just imagine. Like you can tell a child. Listen.
No. I'm talking about. I ain't talking about in that situation. I'm talking about the time they found her out.
Yeah.
And they were like, she don't remember how she. That's what time I'm talking about, not this situation. Yeah.
But if that's her first
I'm like,
time,
what if she was sleepwalking?
But then they would know that. They would know that.
Let me ask you.
This one probably.
Hold on.
I done been around people that sleepwalk.
Who? Name a person.
My cousin.
Which one?
I ain't gonna put her business.
I said which one?
I gave you enough information. I said her.
You know how many cousins you got that's a her?
That's all you need to know.
You know how many cousins you got that's a her that I be around?
Come on, baby. Just tell your story.
Does anybody watching sleepwalk? When did you start sleepwalking? You haven't been sleepwalking all your life. You have to develop it out of nowhere at some point in your life. Mm-hmm. You don't start sleepwalking as a baby. Oh, yeah, I've been sleepwalking all my life. Even when I was a baby, I was sleep crawling. It's not a such thing, bro. That I know of. So if one does sleepwalk, like when did people start noticing that you sleepwalk? Did you just start like at a young age?
And I'm just playing. My cousin don't sleepwalk.
Did you start sleepwalking as a teenager? Like me, I snore. Been snoring. Now I can say been snoring all my life. That's something I had surgery and everything.
Probably not as a baby, so you
Bruh.
can't say all your life.
All right, let me say this. I had surgery when I was, how old was I? 6?
Yeah.
Had surgery to try to correct my snoring. It ain't correct nothing. I think it probably made it worse.
Now I didn't even hear it back then, but baby.
Now my mama said it helped a little bit.
But no, I was just playing, y'all. My cousin was asleep. I didn't want to put that on her. I feel bad. I said, don't do that.
But no, I'm just trying to see could that be a thing that she sleepwalk?
I mean, that could be a thing.
Because then she wandered out.
Just didn't know, and it's probably
Yeah, and she wandered outside the house.
But if all the doors were locked.
Remember that one video we seen? He threw the fork at his wife.
Yeah,
and she caught him.
But let me say this. But say for instance, they woke up, all the doors are locked, but she outside.
She could have locked it.
No, them old houses, you ain't locking no door like that.
Hey, you weren't born. Your grandma wasn't even alive in the 20s.
I done stayed in old houses before.
Your grandmother wasn't even
But I stayed in old houses. The house my grandma.
You ain't never stayed in a Germany house.
Yeah, you right.
But it would turn out he was not just...
Bruh, your grandma wasn't even alive. And the house is different, bruh. You don't know what them joints built
My
like.
granddad was alive.
Oh,
He was born in 1913. He was born in 1913.
You don't even want to say that because I said your grandma ain't alive, but your granddad was born in 1913.
That was back then. Look, what they had going on, that ain't got nothing to do with me.
You don't want to talk about that, CC.
I'll talk about it. It ain't got nothing to do with me.
Protect yourself. And Andreas just says, you know what? No, I'm good. I'm going to pass on the rifle. I'm probably overreacting anyways, and I'm sure we're just fine. But it would turn out he was not just fine, and he probably should have taken up Lorenz on the offer. So just a couple of days after speaking with his neighbor about the weirdness happening on his property, the Gruber family got a little bit of good news, which was they finally were able to locate another maid, a live-in maid, to come stay with them to replace the one who had left because she believed the place was haunted. And so a few weeks later, on March 31st, 1922, this new maid shows up to Hinterkaifeck. But unfortunately, this would also be the same date a horrible tragedy unfolds at the Hinterkaifeck farm. Over the course of 24 hours, someone or something was in the barn on Hinterkaifeck and was able to silently lure in members of the Gruber family one by one. Without telling anybody else what they were doing, they would walk over almost like in a trance into the barn where they would be struck in the head by something called a mattock, which is kind of like an axe. Blow to the head and they're down. As soon as they're down, whoever was in there, whatever was in there, would take their bodies and move them to the corner and lay them down, kind of square them up against the corner of the barn, and then cover them with hay. And then as soon as they were deceased, he would go, whatever it was, would go back and lure in the next person. So
say what you want to say, Ballen.
Each of these members of the family are being lured into this barn where investigators, nobody knows what it was that was luring them in. They weren't scared when they went in. Their guard was down, and they would go in and then get hit in the head with this mattock until there was 4 people stacked up in the corner. And at that point, the remaining 2 people on the farm were still in the house sleeping, and whoever was doing this went into the house and used the mattock to end their lives as well. 4 days later, on April 4th, a repairman who was scheduled to come to the Hinterkaifeck farm shows up to repair the feeding machine. He goes to the door, he knocks on the door, and it's locked, and he can see lights on inside, he can hear the dog barking inside, but no one comes to greet him. Now, the feeder was outside of the main house, and it was actually on basically a public area of the farm, so he didn't need them to physically get to the feeder, and he knew how to fix it. So after trying the front door, going to the back door, looking in the windows and seeing lights, hearing the dog, but everything's locked, he just said, you know what, I'm just gonna do the job. So he goes into the area where the feeder is, he does the repair, and as he's leaving, he notices that the dog that was barking, that was inside the house, is now outside the house tied up. And so he goes over to that section of the house thinking, oh, well, now I'll knock on the door. Someone's sure to see me. And again, no one comes to the door. And the back door, that clearly must have just been opened to let the dog out, is locked again. And so he's like, man, that's odd. And so instead of just leaving, he finishes the job with the feeder. And he goes over to Lorenz Schlittenbauer's house, the neighbor.
You staying, investigating the situation, or you leaving? The dog was in the house. Say how you feel. But the dog was in the house
And I know that dog was in the house barking.
and now the dog outside
Tied up.
I was finna say chained up or tied up.
And now the door back locked.
And door back
and ain't
locked.
nobody coming to the door.
And ain't nobody coming.
And
you ain't seen nobody.
And you ain't seen nobody. You ain't heard nobody. No.
You like, what the fuck they got going on? Let's go.
Just leaving, he finishes the job with the feeder, and he goes over to Lorenz Schlittenbauer's house, the neighbor, and he says, "Hey, just so you know, I was just over at the Gruber family's farm. I fixed their feeder like they wanted me to, but no one was there. But maybe somebody was there because the dog was inside, then it was outside. Don't know what's going on, but can you just let them know that I was here because I couldn't get in touch with them?" But it prompts Schlittenbauer to go check on the Grubers because, they haven't seen him in a couple days anyways, and so they figure they'll swing by and just make sure everything's okay. So they go over to Hinterkaifeck, and, the lights are on in the house. The dog, sure enough, is outside. The doors are locked, and they see that the barn is actually open. So they go over to the barn, and in the barn, at first they don't see anything, but in the back corner underneath some hay are 4 of the bodies of the Gruber family. They go inside and they find the remaining 2 bodies, and no one else is there. Although there was signs of someone recently eating in the kitchen. The fire was lit, it was like the house was being lived in at that very moment. Although to Schlittenbauer and anybody that was there, they have no way of knowing that it's been days since the Gruber family had passed away. And so they end up leaving and getting in touch with authorities. So the police show up and they're able to determine with relative certainty that the tragedy took place on March 31st. But for 4 days afterwards, someone lived in the Gruber house, slept in their beds, ate their food, lit fires, lounged around inside. They played with the dog. They milked the cows. I mean, they lived in this house. They ran the farm for 4 days. And other neighbors would even say that, we saw smoke coming out of the chimney.
Sorry. I'm
No,
pausing.
sorry.
Hold on. I'm pausing to allow her to talk since people.
Stop saying that. Forget what people say. No, I just said
You heard
that's,
it here first, y'all. Forget what y'all.
I just said that's an actual person because ain't no spirit doing all that.
Ain't no spirit lighting no
That's
fires.
a person, but I'm wondering why? Who are you?
Who are the remaining survivors? Did anyone survive from this situation?
No, that we know of.
We haven't disclosed that information
Because it was 4 in the barn, and then the other 2 was in the house, which one of them got to be the
Do they got
grandchild.
any family that recently was let out of jail or something? I don't know. That could be a reach. That's a reach, but
But just saying, is it someone that knows the family, close to the family? Is this a random person? Did this person? I need to know. I be wanting to know the history of homes and stuff.
I was gonna Google some stuff right after this, but look up.
Cows. I mean, they lived in this house. They ran the farm for 4 days. And other neighbors would even say that, we saw smoke coming out of the chimney on, April 3rd and April 2nd. And so it was confirmed that someone had been staying in this house, which is so creepy. And so the police are a little bit baffled, and they're like, okay, well then it was probably a drifter. Target of opportunity. They probably saw this isolated farm, and they probably were going to rob them, stay there a little bit, and then leave. But when they searched the farmhouse, there were large sums of cash that were just out practically in the open, barely hidden, that had not been taken. And anybody that was robbing the place would have taken the cash. Right. And so probably wasn't a robbery, which leaves maybe a crime of passion. But they were like, what's the motive? And unfortunately, Andreas was not particularly well liked in the town that was nearby. And so there was lots of people that didn't like Andreas, which made it really hard to whittle it down. So they started just interviewing like crazy. They're talking to hundreds of people that were in connection with, that could be connected to this, but they're getting nowhere. They did feel like Lorenz Schlittenbauer was probably the best suspect, because he's right there. He's right next door. He's their neighbor. And in fact, he had wanted to marry Victoria, the daughter. And Andreas had told him outright no. And they thought that could be a reason. But the big issue with Lorenz Schlittenbauer being the primary suspect is, he had a farm to keep and a family to take care of. And so how could he...
How you got a family to take care of, but he want to marry the little girl?
Well, I don't know how old Victoria is, but...
The little girl? Because she's still...
But that's weird.
Is, he had a farm to keep and a family to take care of. And so how could he have committed this crime and then ran the Hinterkaifeck farm for 4 days and lived there and slept there without his family knowing. And his family's like, no, he's been here with us. And so the police, they aren't able to solve it. They don't really have any decent suspects. And so they kind of leave it with, well, whoever did this probably had been there for about 6 months, potentially, before they committed the crime, and then stayed there for a few days afterwards. And
could it have been a previous maid?
That's why I did like that. Well, I ain't spell it right, but
not the new living,
not the
man.
new one, because the new one came on the day that they all did. She perish too?
Potentially before they committed the crime, and then stayed there for a few days afterwards, and then vanished. And to this day, they have not been caught. And they even reopened this case in 2007. But they found that, despite the number of suspects and despite the evidence available, it just wasn't enough to provide any sort of clarity on what actually happened. So it remains a huge mystery. So like any other high-profile unsolved mystery, there are literally hundreds of potential explanations for what could have happened. But what I'm most interested in is what you all think could have happened. I will do my best to look through your comments, and I'll respond to the ones that are the most interesting or the most plausible. So please, if you would, in the comment section.
Oh, no, man.
I wonder
what?
I wonder, what's the, not putting it on, well, it don't matter. She ain't probably alive no more. I wonder, what's the old maid, was she ever like interviewed and stuff like that? I do wonder, like, what's her background? Did she probably have like a significant other in her life? Like, cause the only reason I say that
so
is,
my bad. No, I was just gonna say. So it appears as though all the
4, 5.
the family were taken out. So that's 5, and also the new maid.
And the new maid, because it was 6
in all. So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I just wonder, like some background, like on the old maid, like probably like some of her back. Not saying that she probably had something to do with it or had someone. But I'm just saying, like, I wonder, was she, like, interviewed and stuff like that?
I think, where we heard this story from? BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Maybe
we used to watch BuzzFeed Unsolved all the time, man. Let me see.
Because we did hear it, but I forgot a lot of stuff. So
yeah.
That was, a nice refresher.
Let's see. BuzzFeed Unsolved. Was it
Hinterkaifeck.
Let me see. So they age restricted too. But yeah, it's literally. I do remember them. Because we used to watch BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yeah.
If y'all been watching since like the beginning, the old apartment we was at. Mm-hmm. We used to watch YouTube way before we even got on YouTube back then. But
yeah, I don't know with this one. And then since he was so like not liked in the town, that makes it super hard. And then I understand people probably looking at the neighbor, but why would you take the person that you supposedly want? I would need to know how old Victoria is, but
or also I'll say this. It could have been a plethora of anybody. Y'all live out in a secluded farm. True. It could have been somebody who living off in the woods who watched y'all.
Watched them forever.
It could have been somebody who worked on a farm before.
It could have been
because
anybody.
People who do have farms have people come and go
all the time. Stuff, helping with the ins and out
odd jobs. So I don't know. Like this one is very confusing.
I do kind of like understand to a degree why it wasn't solved, because you don't have.
And it's the 20s. They ain't have DNA like
you don't really
this.
Have nothing. And even reopening it in 2007, they reopened the case.
You ain't gonna have this much evidence. Yeah.
Like there's really nothing to go off of.
Not like a fresh crime scene,
Yeah, and most people that you would have to even like bring in to talk to, these people
deceased or even or
so
if they are still alive, they barely holding on.
Barely
holding on to the memories that they got. So
like that was like a dead end.
Literally.
I knew you was gonna say that. As soon as I said it, I said I shouldn't have said that, because you don't take nothing serious.
I'm stupid, y'all.
But yeah. This one. Even then,
That's
when
a
we first
doozy,
heard
though.
it, yeah, I was just like, what?
A lot, because I think a lot of people do think it's the previous maid. Like she came back because she is like, oh, I'm gonna go deal with this situation.
Because wasn't
It
she
could
the
have
one
been.
because she was the main one that brought up to them that something is happening and she's hearing these noises and
she
they
probably
weren't.
still continue to hear the noises afterwards. She just said she was gonna go do something about it, and she could have kept the family off and lived around there until people start coming around. She could have still been there. She knows where everything is. She's not for the money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And she would probably, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it was, because that's kind
It's a
of.
possibility.
But the
It's
only
like,
thing that kind of like is kind of for what would be the reason for everyone to go into the barn?
true.
That's my only thing. Like, what would be their reason to like for something to like guide them or
So you
lead
saying the
them
spirit
or draw
then?
them? That's the word I'm.
So you saying the spirit then?
No, that's all I'm saying.
She said no.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm wondering what's the reasoning for all of them. To, even the new maid.
Or do you?
Or was the new maid?
Or was so? Also, peep this. It could have been the new maid that got killed first, right? And if the old maid is there, she could have lured the kids. Because we don't know who was actually from
In
this
the
story.
house.
We don't know who was killed in the house
And
or who was
they
actually
just said
killed.
Two was in the house.
Two in the house,
others-
and two was sleeping in the house still. They could have. We don't know what time of day it was. It's a lot of empty facts.
Well, see, in my mind,
I'm picturing
in my
morning.
mind, I put morning because most people woke up pretty early. They
Yeah.
have a whole farm. They got animals
So peep
and
this.
stuff to take care of.
Then
So,
I can't tell you what day it like. Was it on a Monday or two? Let me see.
March 31st, 1922.
Let me see if I can.
It's giving me Wednesday.
March what?
March 31st, 1922.
1922. Let's see. Ooh,
Oh, that's Friday.
It's a
See,
Friday.
Give me a Wednesday. Okay, that's
So-
Friday. A Friday. On a Friday.
That's more information. So it's a Friday,
It was a
right?
Friday.
March 31st, 1922 is a Friday. So think about it. If it's a Friday morning, say at crack of dawn, right? Mom and dad could still be asleep. They could have still been asleep. The kids get up early. Right? The maid got the kids up early, getting them ready or something.
The only reason
I don't know if they're
think-
getting ready to go to school or something.
The only reason I don't think that is because, from my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and y'all can too. That was the maid's first day.
True.
So,
So why would she
the
be?
adults will be up and the kids will be still asleep while they show her around. Yes, that makes me like this is her first
Well,
day.
she's been hired before. So typically, when you hire somebody,
She's been hired before.
I'm saying she was hired prior. It's not,
but that was her first.
they
day.
already had show her around, but this being her
don't know
first day,
that.
they could have already laid out everything. She just comes in to work.
Okay, I'm gonna say Daddy was up already. Daddy up. Me and they up. He got a farm.
So who will still be sleeping then? The mom.
The grandchild.
Hold on. No.
The grandchild was still be asleep.
No. Look at this.
She's a baby.
Which one was a baby?
The grandchild, Azalea.
So the
I wrote it down.
So the grandbaby and the older one was the mother. The older mother was still in the house. They was the
was Azalea and her mom sleep?
Because there was the little baby, and I doubt you had the little baby walking. So you had to get rid of the man first. What's his name? Andres. You had to get rid of him first.
And then the daughter name is Victoria. One of the daughters' name is Victoria. I didn't write the mom's name down.
This is a complicated one right here.
Yeah, I want to solve it, but I ain't got nothing.
Girl, we ain't got nothing even
if
to
they could
try
solve it when they reopened in 2007,
we ain't got nothing to sniff out.
I have nothing.
I ain't gonna lie, a lot of
It's
murders,
just sad.
a lot of murders and things that happen like the massacres were able to go unsolved because of lack of DNA testing.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's harder to get away with things like this because,
most definitely.
especially somebody sitting there eating, they living. You know how much DNA you
leaving behind.
You would have been caught.
Like your DNA is all over the house, on dishes, on the door, like everywhere.
Yeah, on the dog.
On the dog, in their bed, hair, like everything.
Yeah, you would have been caught.
So
if it was this day and age, you would have been caught.
And most people now, like even out, like even if they head out, they got cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
So
well,
just,
let's don't get it twisted. Nowadays, the motherfuckers still get caught even with cameras.
no,
I mean,
not saying that, but
I'm not get caught, but get away even with having cameras.
yeah, certain cities and stuff.
Exactly.
But yeah,
But
that was always sad to me because I was just like, what?
yeah,
For the whole family to go out like that and it was never solved.
Yeah.
That's strange. But yeah.
Hey, man. Y'all spam us up, man. Let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comment section down below. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are. We are.
No time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.